It'll be sunny. We'll see a high near 87. We've got a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. For KTUI, I'm Mark Perry.
KTUI time is 10:05, and the current temperature is 75 degrees.
I'm Sam Scott for KTUI.
On the high plains of Gasconade County. We have a cloudy sky here this morning at 74 degrees. And it looks to me like home base at Sullivan. Maybe just got some rain a little bit ago because it looked to me like this current storm went south. But I'm not sure. I didn't have time didn't talk with Sam about it, but maybe you got some more. But our prayers have been answered here at the White Mule and the surrounding area because I think, depending on who you talk to and what it is, somewhere between maybe 7 and 9 inches are in that neighborhood. We can't give you an official judgment here at the White Mule, nor can Gracie, because Sunday our gauges ran over. So we don't know exactly, but just looking at what we had, I know we had like 2.5 inches in total Saturday and Sunday afternoon, and Sunday night is when we got it, when it ran over. But probably in the 7 to 8 inch range. It filled the ponds back up, and the creeks are running, although not wildly. I mean, it kind of shows just how dry, the ground was because, it's soaking in. And when rain comes like that, there's going to be some runoff. But, I talked with some ditch diggers, recently, and they said there is nothing down there. There is absolutely nothing. So we need to replenish that water supply, and looks like it's getting done now. So, hey, good to have you. Enough for the weather right now, but good to have you along with us here on KTUI, 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly you're watching on Facebook Live. If so, you will recognize, or some of you will recognize, our guests that we have this morning because they are no strangers to the Gasconade County Fair, nor are they strangers to the White Mule. And they're neighbors, all in all. Brenda Kumar, and Annette Pfeiffer have been part of my life a long time, We have known each other. Annette and I went to church together for many years. And Dennis and I went to church together. And I didn't know you until you started dating Dennis, but I remember we rode to your place one night on a motorcycle,
Yeah.
That was a while back ago, but hey, it's good to have you along with us this morning, but more than that. These are the patriarchs of the Gasconade County Fair. Both of them have, committed themselves to this idea of the fair. And I know that they love to serve because they do in a lot of other capacities, but there has to be more than that, ladies. There has to be other underlying reasons why you have committed so much of your time and energy, because both of you have been there since we could, And what is it, Brenda? What is it about the fair that gives you that drive every year to come back and do what you do?
For the youth of our county.
For the youth of the county.
Yep, I was with 4-H for many, many years, and
USDA,
Yes, and so, but it's for the youth of the county and for them to be able to present, let everybody see their hard work, whether it is with their animals in the barns or their other projects up in the building.
And I think, Annette, what a draw that is, and what an easy draw that is. Once you have grown up, and you've literally grew up with it because you're second generation. Maybe, I don't know.
I looked back, there's been somebody in the Ofterheady family on the board since about the second or third fair. A
Wow.
great aunt or great uncle or an aunt or uncle or my dad. You know, my dad was involved in it when I was a little bitty kid. So I kind of grew up at the fair, and yeah, there's a lot of memories. But I'm kind of like Brenda. I think back to all the things I do now are things that I learned because of the fair. She was more on the ag side. I was more on the
Administrative.
sewing, and growing up
okay,
in
whatever.
4-H. I
Yeah.
did all my,
No, I understand,
did
yes.
my sewing and the exhibits in the exhibit hall. You know, that's where you learn how to be part of the community. You know, it's more of a community event. But like I said, I'm with her. It's for the youth, whether it be livestock or whether it be the exhibit hall. I mean, I just came from quilting. I wouldn't have done it if I wouldn't have been in 4-H. You know, I grew up in the sewing and cooking and knitting and all of that handwork stuff I did that, believe it or not, still does come into play today.
Are you a knitter yet, or a?
Yeah, I like to. I'm now that I retired, I'm hoping to be able to do more of that. But the sewing and like I said,
And the,
cooking, some of those are general everyday things, you know.
Yeah.
The cooking and being able to mend or being able to volunteer, being able to deal with people. In 4-H, did public speaking, you have to be able to deal with people. You know, you learn that from an early age, volunteering in the food stands, being, you know, judging, whether it be livestock. I did some livestock judging. You have to be able to present in front of the public and to the judges and all of that. And that's all stuff you have to have, you know, if you're going to work.
you know, when I was in office, I would watch people, you know, in the Capitol, and I could tell you whether or not they was in FFA or 4-H, simply how they run a meeting. You know, if you, Robert Rules of Order, even though we didn't read that book all that, I mean, I didn't. I mean, I read through it, of course, but that was a procedure, you know, on how we did things, and it was a natural. You know, it was a natural to be courteous. It was a natural to have a formal way of running a meeting, had to have an agenda, to speak properly. Well, I don't know if I spoke properly, but you know, have the right way of doing things, and you know, that all come from leadership that was subliminal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you learn that every month in 4-H because it was there, and everybody did that the same way. And then FFA was a little more formal, and but it was you could absolutely tell, and it's made a big difference, and it developed what rural leadership, you know what I'm saying, that we have and that we hold to, and you know, they encapsulate the values that we believe in the small communities and the fair of service and servicehood, and 4-H, you know, I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, and my country. Can't believe I still remember that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But that's what it is, and the FFA creed, you know, the same way. But anyway, it's good stuff, and it is all about the kids, and it is all about the future, and it always has been for most
Yes.
of us. You know, because that's what we have. And now grandkids are along the way. You know what I'm saying? And there's a deeper meaning. And you know, did you do a lot of sewing in 4-H?
Probably not. Probably not.
I got
That's-
drugged by a few steers, but I don't think I
Yeah.
was so much.
But there's other, like I said, there's
Well, yeah,
both sides.
and my girls, Terry always said, I'm not going to learn to sew. She wanted to do just her livestock because she said, all I could hear Mom telling Stacy was rip it out. If you're going to have a 5/8 inseam, that means a 5/8 inseam, not a 3/8 and then to a 7/8. So rip it out.
Wow.
And I was the one that's staying up trying to rip things out, and my dad kept telling me, you can't keep ripping it out. Do the best. Did you learn how to do it differently? You know, he was always about, did you learn something by having to rip that out? You know, the same thing with judging. He would always tell me, that depends on the judge.
Yes.
You know, I'd come home without my blue ribbon, and it was like, but that's judging, and that's like umpiring a baseball game. That's, again, a life lesson. that
Yeah.
it's life is not always going to give you the blue ribbon.
I was voided of them in woodworking. Even my boot jack and bluebird house didn't never do that well. You know what I'm saying? Never the grand champion of the show or nothing, and it was never grabbed Albert's talent there.
Well,
That's why we do
Yeah.
the show.
And that was kind of like Dennis when he was woodworking leader and worked with all these kids. Some nights it was quite the fiasco, and he'd call me when I was still at work, bring me more saber saw blades or something because so just stepped on one, but he always said they got to let them do it themselves so they learn, and they've got to learn by their mistakes. I still learn by my mistakes, so but oh yes,
Yeah,
learning by doing.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
it is, and that's what the fair, it is all about. Practice, repetitiveness, try it again, be in there, don't give up. There's a lot of kids that show, livestock or do things and don't get too many awards, but you see the proficiency that comes back to them, and that's what it's about, I
Yes.
mean, most kids have never got grand champions there. You know what I'm saying? In there, nor best of class in anything. But you know what? Most of those kids that have been there are still there today, helping their kids. Trying to perfect those things or trying to glean out what they can learn in regard to that, and that's what the fair is all about. So Gasconade County Fair. Just my opinion, but I think yours probably too, and a lot of other people. One of the best small town fairs there is in the state of Missouri,
Yes,
Yes.
if not the best.
We hear that from other people.
yes, we do. I know as a young kid, couldn't wait to go to the fair. My dad always compared Gasconade County Fair to Washington Town and Country. I can wear my bib overalls if I want to Owensville and not be judged. Washington Town and Country, and when I showed there every year, you could see it going more town and less country. And Gasconade, it's country. We welcome all.
And not that the other fairs aren't good, because they are. Crawford
They are
County
good, yes.
is a great fair. Sullivan's a great fair. Bell is a great fair. Washington Town and Country is a huge fair.
Yes,
You
it's a
know,
huge
a
fair.
great fair. But I think one of the things that make Gasconade County a very good fair is that we encompass the whole county, and we are very involved with both Herman and Owensville. Gasconade County used to have as many 4-H clubs as anybody. Every community has, Bem and Charlotte and Rose, whoever.
Yeah.
They all had these clubs, and they're all an integrated part of the community. And there's a lot of history here. There's a lot of second, third generation, that parents continue it. Perpetuate, those learning things. And I think that's the core, I think that's the core of why, we are what we are, the area that we cover, and, integrating things together, and competition. There's always a certain amount of competition, in Gasconade County, whether it's sports or whatever it might be. And, that drives also, the 4-H clubs and the FFA to, do what they can do, what I'm saying, to get the ribbon, Big lineup this year, big lineup every year, let's talk about what's all going on. A lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you want to start? Upper, lower?
Well, let's just talk
name?
about in general. Let's talk about the days of the fair and when they're going. I'm sorry. I mean, let's talk about starting on Wednesday and then going
July
through
26th.
generally what it is.
July 26th to July 29th. So there's 4 days. opening and queen contest and so on Wednesday night. Bull riding down Lower Field. Of course, the carnival will be going. Exhibit halls will be open. Food stands will be open. So there's, Wednesday nights.
The rides,
the
they
ride-
do
yeah,
the cheaper
carnival.
rides that night or no?
No, rides are
Okay,
considered part of the
I-
tickets.
Yes.
Rides are, once you pay for your ticket, you have everything that's available to you other than what you buy as far as food are some of the vendors. Because there's vendors up and down the street. I understand we have quite a few vendors again this year.
Oh, but that's
So,
good.
that was my understanding. I may be wrong, but that was my understanding. So, you can go to the carnival, you can go to the Lower Field and see like I said, Wednesday night is bull riding down below, Thursday night is demo derby down below, Friday and Saturday night is truck and tractor pulls. Main stage Thursday is Rockland Road, Friday night is Tracy Bird, Saturday night is Sarah Evans. The carnival will
Always
run
part.
most of the day. It's all part of your ticket. Once you get inside that gate, it's all part of your ticket.
And it's a great value. I mean, I know that, some people say, well, I got to do this or it's going to cost that or whatever. But go to a ball game, go to a concert, go anywhere to a theme park and see we're a third of the price, half the, or less than half, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, is that her? How
Very
much is
good.
her tickets?
I don't know.
Someone told me, and I about fell over, $1,000, some of them. And I thought, oh my
More
goodness.
than that. I was thinking
So-
they were generally too, and some of the higher ones were 18,000 at the one show. So anyway.
Wow.
Woo.
Wow.
Anyway, so $45 for 4 days isn't bad.
Yeah. And on Saturday morning, we have a car show down on the lower ball field. So, most mornings, if there's anything going on, it would be like with the livestock. But on Saturday morning, we have that. Saturday afternoon, we have our livestock sale. And that always is a big,
A lot of money goes back.
Yes.
It all goes back in
Yes.
that situation. I mean, let's talk about some of the specifics there. Cattle prices are as high as they've ever been. Did that deter the amount of steers, that we're showing there this year, or do you know kind of what those numbers are at this juncture?
I didn't make it to livestock meeting last night due to another meeting. Steers, I would say, is about the same as well as hogs. We might have a few more sheep and goats.
So steers have been running in the 20 to 30 range,
Yes,
and hogs have been running 70 to 90 or something
Yes.
like that. So a lot,
Yes.
and a chance for everybody to get in there and bid on their kids or their grandkids or whoever to promote their business, and most of their money goes to education, I believe. They did in our with our
it
kids.
did
So
with my girls as well. And then we also have generally around 20 country care hymns that we
Sure.
sell as well.
So that's kind of a big highlight, what I'm saying, because it brings in hundreds of thousands of bucks,
Yes.
to these kids, and a lot of generosity there. But, that's the big thing, as far as the dollars. But go through the exhibit halls, okay, and look at the work, Annette, what I'm saying, that is qualified there, and the skill sets that are there, and look at how many people participate in ripping out the seams or doing whatever. I don't even know what you're
Yes,
talking about.
Yes.
And then a lot of money goes out to that. A lot of prize money goes out to those ribbons, correct?
Yes, and there's a lot of variety.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of quilts, there's antiques, there's flowers, there's canned goods, then you have youth that can do anything, there's paintings, there's photography. 4-H has expanded too. I mean, you can do almost anything in 4-H now. Computers, photography, cake decorating,
Well, you can if you're
mechanics,
qualified.
woodworking. I'm just saying the
I know,
projects
I-
in 4-H have
Yes.
changed a lot.
So
There's
much,
not as much
yes.
sewing and knitting as there used to be. I will grant you that.
Yes.
Girl Scouts, the club, the Girl Scouts are trying to expand again. They're trying to grow their Girl Scout program in the county. They're getting some new leaders, getting some new kids in there. Boy Scouts, and they help us a lot too with the fair. Agriculture, there's horticulture downstairs. There's all the gardening stuff and some farm things that are exhibited. So yeah, there's a lot of exhibits. But can I veer off here just a little bit, talking about kids and competition? You have to remember we don't have the greased pig competition anymore. But there is still the nickel scramble. We still have the pedal tractor pull. Some of those kids do pedal tractor pull and they go to nationals in South Dakota, I believe.
Yes, South Dakota.
So there's some competition there too, and
Lots of competition.
there's lots of things
I
going
know
on.
Weston was at Rosebud, at the Thrasher show on the pedal pull, and he told me, he said, those kids really get into that. You know what I'm saying? And they practice on them, at home, So, that's it's good. It's competition. But you brought up the pig scramble, and I don't know. No, I don't know if this is totally accurate or not, but I have been told that New Haven Fair, first of all, they had over 100 kids doing the pedal pull, and I thought that was a lot,
Yes.
But I had heard the pig scramble had over 300. Is that correct?
I don't recall last night at the meeting I was at if they gave a number, but there have been that many kids. At one time they had the kids doing it as well as the adults. The adults have been cut out. You have to pre-register now in order to do it because they have so many kids interested. Now the Queen contestants did do it.
Pig scramble?
Yes, they did the pig scramble, but.
Not in their farm aware, probably.
No. But, I mean, I watched it on a video my nephew sent me because my great gets a pig. So, and years ago you could keep your pig. Well, that's changed, But yeah, this mob of kids running after these couple pigs, and those poor little pigs are scared.
Yeah.
I mean, scared.
That's a bunch, and I don't know if they still grease the pig up.
No,
Okay.
but they're running in mud.
Oh my goodness!
They're running in mud now.
My
So
goodness,
instead
that-
of the grease,
that's an
when I
added
did
show.
it way back when, it was the grease just on the grass, but now they're in mud. So those kids get pretty dirty.
My God, and, sponsored by Tide, Well, that is amazing, and you brought it up that for a long, long time, kids had a pig scramble in town, and I know my older brothers. Armin Gillig was a fair guy and raised hogs, and an awful lot of kids got their start in the hog business because they could keep these gilts, that they would get at the fair, a little Schultz that weighed, 20, 30 pounds at that
Yeah.
point, and they could take them home with them and start a sow herd or start the pigs, and it got a lot of pigs, out there, and it was a great program,
Yes.
And so that was the impetus of that, to promote agriculture just as it is today, but then also give the kids a start,
They learned a lot of responsibility by
to be fast.
taking. Yes.
So,
Agricultural line and teaching. Can I mention the Farm Bureau? They're
Sure.
Yes.
Totland again this year. They're going to be doing that again this year. We are in the midst of getting a pavilion put up. So they will be underneath that pavilion, and they do a lot as far as teaching kids that don't have the farming background like we do. They can teach them about, they have the soybeans out and the corn and the mazes and story times and treats and all kinds of things during the days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that's another opportunity for kids to get involved and to learn.
and today, farm to market and our farmer's market, you know, however you want to say that, big. You know, it's a big thing anymore. I was recently went to Herman to look at some stuff on a Saturday, and I could not believe right there in Herman how many producers they was there. I don't go to Owensville on a Saturday morning, but I know they've got a lot too. And then I went over to Big Springs. They had just a bigger crowd in Big Springs almost as they did in Herman, and all of this fresh produce and what they do, it has to drive also the amount of produce that we're judged at the fair, I would assume. My wife used to judge that all the time, you know. Never did bring any home. You know,
Oh darn, she could have brought some sweet corn home.
I know. We had some last night from the Deppies. You know, from Washington. They played acres of it, and they're always generous. As a matter of fact, I think, let this out of the bag. I think Gussie's going to use their corn
For the buyer's lunch.
for the
Oh, that will be good.
for the fair.
That
And
will be good,
it's
yes.
excellent stuff, you know.
Yes,
So
yes,
The plan at least.
yes.
anyway, there's so many elements, so many people, and so much involved with this. What a good taste it leaves in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? To think about, you know, the livestock here again, and you know the luncheon, usually sponsored. You guys have been involved with that for a long time too. They feed them, you know, and then they go to the sale, and you know, Gussie's involved, and his company, or you know, Lion Meats are involved. Our farm, you know, is involved supplying, you know, part of that meat, and the Deppies. You know, this is all pretty local. I mean, very local stuff that they're feeding there, and that goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
And Farm Bureau is teaching those very elements, correct? You know, on the horticulture and what to do and how to go about it. Are you pretty proficient raising tomatoes? Because Karen got
Those, you know, and Stace and I shared those and had to cut the bad spots out. This year, I've been doing a better job. She goes, "Good job, Mom." And I was getting up real early in the morning and watering
Yes.
this half and moving and then getting the other half watered. And so they look pretty good. And her and Mike have been tying them up with a new way of tying, which seems to be working. And so hopefully we're going to have some tomatoes this year.
I can see 4-H leadership written. Here again, you know, in regard to
Things
that.
we learned in 4-H goes a long, long way, like Annette said. It
We
really
did.
does. And there again, with the motto, learning by doing,
Yes.
you know, so.
And trying, you know, trying
Yes.
something new.
Yes.
You know, like in 4-H, we didn't know, you know, like I said, I didn't know knitting, I didn't know some of those things, but I like to try that. Let's try that for a year. You know, our mom would say, "Why don't you try this for you?" You know, so it's
Yeah.
trying something new.
Yes.
And that's the way with gardening. I always want to try some. That's
Yes.
part of learning.
Yes, it
wanting
is.
to try something.
And
new.
we're expanding our knowledge and, you know,
And-
we're still growing in that area.
And we always had to do a peer-to-peer teaching, you know, in 4-H when you had cooking or whatever it happened to be. You part of the leadership there was for, what do they call that?
Demonstrations. You had to
Demonstration.
do a demonstration. Everybody had to do a demonstration.
You had to
Part
do
of
a
the club meeting.
demonstration and tell them how to make snickerdoodles cookies.
Remember me doing that?
Huh?
Do you remember me doing that?
Of course I do. And my sister too.
Oh.
Because we had snickerdoodles, snickeldoodles.
We had the same recipe.
Try to say that 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of snickerdoodles
Over the years.
when we grew up, you know. But, you know, you have to explain to everybody what it is. And, you know, learning is doing and hands-on. And that's the art of demonstration and how they do things. So, golly, there's so much here. Well, whatever direction you guys want to go in, tell
Well,
me.
we haven't
because-
mentioned the Little Mr. and Miss
Yes.
on Wednesday night and the
Yes.
Queen contest. That's something else putting, as far as the Queen contest, we think about the Queen contest and she's the Queen, huh? But that does put some money, again, you talk about money for college, that puts some scholarship money into some of those girls' funds. So that's community service awards on Wednesday night too.
And the fair, as the board, as, a general scholarship, we give 3 or 4 scholarships to, 2 to the north end and 2 to the south end of the county. So they're, I can't actually give them the check anymore like years ago. It has to go to the school. But they're up there on stage and we present them, so everybody knows. This year, the livestock committee, some scholarships. They've been working very hard to, have, and I believe they have to continue in ag,
To grant,
Yes, and their plan, I think, is that are 3 scholarships that will be given. I've not heard who they have in mind that's getting them, or that they already know. Nobody will know except
a few.
on that committee. So the fair is growing and trying to continue to help, the young people to continue on with their education. Doesn't all have to be ag.
Yes, it's not all about ag, and a lot of these things, and you said that the pedal pole some of them goes to South Dakota for the world champion or whatever
Yes.
it is there, and I've had, Martin's son has did that, Drake has did that, but then also the Queen contest, okay, that is Gasconade County's representation to go to the state fair,
Yes.
to be entered into that competition there, and it just we're sponsoring
Peyton Harness.
Peyton Harness.
Okay.
This year the White Mule is sponsoring her, and she works here. She works in the kitchen and helps cook, and it's just a great program. Through and through, and I am blown away, in all honesty, because I get the opportunity usually to interview the Fair Queen, what I'm saying, during that time. And the twins, the last couple, I just remember them because one of them got it one year and the other.
Yeah.
But I'm blown away by their abilities to speak and to articulate and to vision and their goals and their desires. These are motivated gals that, going to get some men to do some good things. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean. Our first runner-up the last 2 years, she's gone into social services.
Really?
And, yes, and she has, and I don't exactly know what direction it is, but I could see her going into something with children, because she's been a nanny for so many different
That's
people,
true.
and
I
she
remember that now
loves,
that you're saying it.
she loves kids, so I could see that would be the avenue that she would take.
Well,
So, yeah.
Little Mr. and Miss, you know what I'm saying, is Wednesday night that's one of the first things at the
Yes.
fair, correct?
No,
whenever.
See, that's why I brought my cheat sheet. 6:30.
At
That's
6:30
after
on the main.
It's right after. It's basically right after the opening ceremonies. The opening ceremony is at 6. So Little Mr. and Miss is at 6:30, and then the Queen contest is as soon as the Little Mr. and Miss contest is over.
And the opening usually recognizes, some patriots that have given a lot back to the fair and
And the
recognizes.
community. It's not always just the fair.
Oh,
It's
right.
Sometimes people that are not as involved in the fair, but have
but
helped.
the community,
Yes.
to recognize those individuals, and they talk about some of the scholarships there, then they go in, you know, through the evening with the talent contest and what they do, and, you know, there's some, you know, even for the little Mr. and Miss, there's some real talent out there, you know?
Yes, there is. Yes,
You
there
know,
is.
it's,
Yes.
It's good. I think Weston wanted to do the tractor pull if he was at talent.
That would be his talent, is the tractor. Two other things, real quick. This is a long-standing competition we've had, is the horseshoe tournament.
Yes.
That kind of gets overlooked because it's at the very, if you're at the fair, it's at the just inside gate number 1, at the very north, by the golf course.
Right.
Golf course. The other thing is that we started a couple of years ago, and this has grown too, is the cornhole tournament. Whoever dreamed that cornhole would get as big as it is? But last year we had more calls about the cornhole tournament than we had about anything else.
I
That's
can't
on
believe how big
Saturday
that
morning.
thing is.
I know.
I go through the switchers, you know, every whatever, looking for something. Seldom is there a cornhole tournament
Yeah.
going on somewhere or whatever.
But
you know?
again, that's the fair. We're just trying to do what we need to do for, expand and change and do some new things once in a while.
Yes.
Is there still a cook-off? Or do you
Yes,
do
Yes.
that's true
okay.
too. It's part of
That's
the
on
cook-off.
Saturday.
And that's sponsored by Kingsford.
You need a
Yeah,
judge
it
for
was
that?
set up. Well, I don't know. I think they have an overall judging that, anybody can judge certain things.
Oh.
And you can put your
I-
number in. I don't know if they still
I
do
just-
that.
I'm available if in fact,
You can always
yes.
sneak through
I,
that. Find somebody you know.
not really, but, so yeah, there is so much there, and the lower field has been, an extension of the fair since I first was on the fair board, you know what I'm saying? We opened that up and kind of, have been a continual building thing of the motorsports and the rodeos and those particular things, and while it's, kind of, its own crowd, down there, the rodeos, but local entertainment always down there in the beer garden,
Party on
correct?
Saturday night.
I made a prediction when I was on the fair board, at one time that, this thing was going to be huge, and the beer sales on that and whatever is big, and the soda and the food, they put the investment down there to get it done, and it's a major, I would say, I don't know if it does as much as the food, but the drinks and those things, it does as much as anybody on the fairground, if not more.
And like I said, there's a lot of people that's all they go to. They don't realize we have main stage entertainment, and vice versa. I work in the office a lot, and we'll have people come up, and they'll say, "What's going on?" And I'll say, "Well, main stage tonight, and this and that, and lower field starts at whatever time." And what do you mean lower field? So
Yeah,
whoever's out there, we do have both
Yeah.
the lower field and upper stage entertainment, and there is carnival even further up. You just gotta be willing to go around. But you mentioned the food. I'm gonna put a plug in here. Another thing that we learned as kids, we volunteered.
yeah.
Community 4-H's, we volunteered. I still have pictures of you when we used to be able to, every 4-H club, I think, did trash pickup. We volunteered
Yep.
to clean up the community and do highway trash pickup. Most of us did as kids. And 4-H kids this year, or, each club has a shift at the food stands to volunteer to serve that food in those food stands. So I'm still putting a plug in for volunteers. So
Well,
if anybody out
and
there,
they need it.
Call
You know
me.
what I'm saying?
Call
I mean, Chuck Edel used to always do that. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
is he doing that
No.
still?
That's what I'm saying. I'm putting a plug in.
Well,
for
you've been doing it for
food.
2 years now, 3 years.
This is the third year.
Yeah.
This is the third year that I've worked on that committee. It's not just me, other people, help out. So.
Ain't getting any easier, huh?
But it's not getting any easier, and we appreciate you, Charlie, because your white meal here does 2 shifts themselves and then sponsors
Do
a
we?
group. And then sponsors a group.
Good
I do
job.
as well. And then like I said, sponsors a group as well. So like I said, we appreciate you, Charlie, and your
Well,
organization and all
know,
you do for the fair behind the scenes so
uh,
that everybody sees. But we
it-
still do need volunteers, so if anybody
And we'll,
Like night shifts are hard.
we'll continue to do, everything we can do, but nothing to the fact that the board members do, because I was been there and done that too. You guys meet every month, and then big meetings, and I would say there's not a week goes by. My brother, well, you guys too, well, Chairman, there wasn't a week goes by that my brother aren't working the fair.
No, there's not.
That is
My
true.
husband calls it an obsession. He told somebody the other day that I have an obsession with it. It is not that bad.
Well, it is that good. Just tell David, it is that good, David,
Dennis kind of felt that way too, and
But he was upset. Don't tell me, because he was obsessed
yes,
with it
he
too.
was always
He
big
did,
on
yeah.
community service, and he goes, "Why do you still do this?" Because I believe in it, and it's all volunteers. Someone asked me yesterday when they were filling out information, how many of you get compensated for what you do? None of us. We are all volunteers. And that's what it takes. It takes volunteers.
And I don't know, all of our kids, Brenda, all of our kids was mentored by your kids, the 4-H and the steers and showing and flipping and fitting, and weren't you? Didn't learn that much from the old man, did you? It was, but
She
kids on
liked-
kids peer teaching, you can't beat it,
She liked it way more though if Zimmerman come along with.
Oh, of course, yeah,
The
she was a hit wherever
Yes,
she went,
yes.
there's no doubt. But I learned that at the White Mule. I can't communicate a lot of times with the kids, but once we get somebody that knows how to fry chicken or do the steaks or do whatever, go to them.
Yes.
Because I'm a little bullerick.
Ballerick is what my grandma
Is
would
that
have
what-
said. Ballerick.
I mean, I do boom, 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 and and I don't mean to be, but it's the poor boys out on the farm with me. I feel sorry for them, don't you?
I've been there too.
I mean, and I don't. It's just, well, it's a different thing
Yeah.
because you're out there with safety, and by gosh, you see something, boom, boom, boom. You're going to tell them, and you're going to get in their face and tell them,
Yeah.
And I just kind of do it that way. And I said, but they're my boys, you know what I'm saying? And I treat them like my own because I've always figured you couldn't be too hard on boys, and I don't think I'm that wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
So, golly, let's take a little break here, and Gracie's going to tell us what else is going on, and then we're going to give kind of rundown and lineup of
Okay.
what to do, where to get the tickets from, and what we need to do in regard to that, and tell us what you need in regard to volunteers yet, and those things, different things that we can get out there and ask people for their support.
Alrighty, I just have a couple other things here. They're having an evening out at Seasons Faith. Doors open at 5:30. Dinner will be served at 6. Auctions will follow dinner. This is Thursday, August 10th at Seasons of Faith Fellowship Church. $35 a ticket. They're having a live, silent, and dessert auction as well. All proceeds benefits the Owensville Senior Center. Tickets will be available by calling 437-3096.
Well, that's coming up here on the 10th, and for good cause.
Absolutely. The Owensville Senior Center does a lot of great things.
Did Mom, was she telling me that this, she does the Facebook stuff when I'm laying in bed, and I think she said, are they doing a Washington D.C. trip?
Oh, I
Or
don't know
no-
who's doing that. I saw something this morning that a couple that had planned to go now can't go, and that's the first I saw, but I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't read it this morning.
Anyways, somebody somewhere
The
is
senior
doing
center
this
does a lot.
Washington
They're
D.C.
starting to
bus
do
trip or something like that, and all she said was, "Wow, that's a buy," because she said $800 for like 6 or 7 nights or whatever it was, food included. That's I don't, that's very good, so.
Too bad you're going to Alaska, huh?
I would, no, I can't say nothing there. Yes, we are, you know, we are headed there this year, you know, and,
In a few weeks.
next, I know.
I mean, if you don't want to go, I'll go.
Yes. Oh, I want to go, and I will go. 14 days is a long time for me to be away. I mean, you know, but
Just relax and enjoy it.
I will. I will.
This Friday night at the White Mule, we will have our steaks, lasagna, beef kebabs, country fried steak, and grilled shrimp from 5 until 8:30. Saturday, we will have pizza, wings, and hamburgers from noon until 5, and then our steak dinners after that until 8:30. Sundays, all you can eat pan-fried chicken and roast beef from 11 until 3:30. So come out and enjoy, and I believe Dave Benson will be here this Sunday starting at 1 o'clock. Then next Wednesday starts up the Gaston County Fair. Come out and enjoy.
Wow, there's a lot going on. Make plans now for this week and the next and after that. And so let's tell them about how to get tickets first. If you get a season pass early, is it cheaper?
Yes, the season pass, if you get your season pass Tuesday, next week Tuesday is the last day to buy season passes at $45 a piece. I want to mention something else. If you have other questions, of course, the catalogs that you see me looking at are out and about different
There's some here,
businesses.
too.
But we have a website, a very good website this year, GasconadCountyFair.com. Make sure and visit that for questions that you have. The other thing is you can go to that website. There is a link to buy tickets online.
Really?
Or you
Eventbrite.
can go straight to Eventbrite and buy tickets online. Otherwise, most banks in the community, even I believe there should be some at Washington. You should be able to get some at Washington Union, Legends Bank, Rolla Legends Bank, Cuba at Maces and Marys County Bank, Rosebud or Lynn, Rosebud Tractor, Rosebud and Lynn, Legends Bank at Lynn, I believe, has some. Of course, Owensville Break Time, Joe's Tire, Legends, Medley's, Walmart in Owensville. For those of us in the country, Mount Sterling, you can go to Schaefer Cutter Store. Dutch Mill has them as well, so if it's a weekend that the banks aren't open, you can hit those two places. Bell, Bland area, Mace's in Bell, K&M Country Store, our country store in Bland should have tickets. First State Community Bank in Sullivan should have tickets. So you can get season passes out and about in the community, or like I said, go online to the Facebook page and get season
You know, and
passes.
that's an easy thing to do for those that are computer wary and know how to
Yeah.
do that. I mean, it's there. I guess you get a digital
Yes.
receipt or something.
Yes.
See,
or-
it are on your phone. I think
Yes.
you can put it on your
Yeah.
phone.
Like,
Oh, well,
These
that's.
people that know how to do
I'm
that,
sure,
those of us
yeah.
that have
I
problems,
was
you
gonna
can
say,
show your
I've got
phone.
mine on my phone. This year I set it up, and so I had to try it out right away. And it was like, I got it
You
right.
got it right?
I got it right. I didn't have to call Terry or anyone. And so you can buy your season pass, or we have some just for Saturday,
Or Friday.
you know.
You can buy daily passes
yes,
online,
but-
or buy daily passes at the gate.
Yes,
too.
you know, but there's a lot of out-of-town people. Sometimes
Sure.
there's out-of-state people that will get theirs online when they're following certain entertainment acts. So, yeah.
And is there a daily a price too if they just want to show up?
Yes.
On Wednesday, if you show up on Wednesday and still want your season pass, it's gonna go to $50. Okay, so preseason is $45. On Wednesday, it goes to
How about just
$50.
Wednesday alone?
Wednesday itself is $15.
Okay,
Thursday itself is $20.
okay,
Friday is $30, and Saturday is $40.
okay.
But
So-
you have to remember all the things involved in that. If you come
Exactly,
for Friday, you can
and-
do truck and tractor pulls, you can do, like I said, down below the local
But
band,
still
the
Wednesday
main
you can come for
stage, the
15 bucks,
carnival.
you know,
Yes.
for, you know, get the kids in and then they ride for nothing. That's a big thing, you
Yes.
know, and it's cheap and the food is always good and it's always very, very reasonable, you know, because food is raising price, but,
Yes, it is.
you know, I don't know what a fish sandwich is or what it's gonna be, but I know that they have went sky high. There's no question that, you know, food is higher. And it's something we probably just got almost get used to because, you know, I think it's going to be there, you know.
Yes. And we always try, and even though our prices go up, we try not to raise too much because we know that there are families coming in. You know, we can't, you know, we have raised this year because it was just, we had to, you know, the food committee.
You know,
Had to, but they always keep our families in mind.
a few little words about the new proposed venue that they're going to put up. You know, at the fair, we lost a exhibit hall a
Yes.
few years back, and I don't know where they're going to put this proposed new one, but they've went a long way already to
Yes.
secure money for this. I'm going to just say $500,000, probably $750,000 the way building costs are. But, you know, they've secured, they had a meeting here, they had a fundraiser here, and, you know, just Grant and Farm Bureau, they've all chipped in big time in regard to this. So when you're at the fair, look at this proposed thing, make a donation. You know, it's a good way to, you know, let your family, you know, dream on and continue the tradition. This ain't only about the fair. This is the youth center.
Yes.
You know, which will be used year round, you know, for a lot of different things. But in fact, it's going to be a nice facility, and you know, kind of look forward to getting that ground broke, and it'll be used throughout the year for
Yes, we've
activities.
put a lot of thought and head knocking, whatever you want to say, into this already because we want
Collaboration.
Yes, thank you. Because we want this building to be around for years and years, just like our first building was way over 50 years. It's here for the future. That's what we're planning for.
And it shall be. Ladies, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here on KTUI 1560 AM. Well, you're actually at the White Mule, but
Yes.
you know, KTUI 1560 AM. I got to get those things in. You know, good for you to be here, and we will be at the fair at some time on you know, sale day, probably for sure at the fair Saturday, and we'll check on logistics here in regard to, you know, maybe being there next Thursday. If not, we'll be somewhere, and we'll be talking more about, you know, the fair and doing whatever. So we didn't even mention the parade, you know.
Oh,
But,
yes.
you know, that's probably the big event that is involved by so many people, and hope the weather is fair, you know,
Yes.
for that, because just the way it is. Look
Yes,
forward
and
to the
that
fire
starts
trucks and
at what, 5:30?
Yes, I want to say 5:30.
Thursday.
On Thursday.
5:30 on Thursday uptown.
Yes.
Line up Main Street, and
Yes.
they'll be 6 deep, you know, and the veterans will be sweating and walking
Heading it off.
up and tall, and that's
Yes.
it's
And
awesome.
our theme this year is Star Spangled Summer. And I noticed on Facebook this morning, I was just tickled pink when I saw this, that we have a FFA group that is working on their float already for the parade, and it's going to look pretty nice what they had done.
White Mule's going to have a float too, right?
We are.
Very
I've
good.
been hearing a lot about that. I think they took prize last year.
We won last year.
We won last year. Yeah, you know, I've worked diligently on riding that float.
We have some employees that are pretty.
Oh,
passionate about.
and these kids, and these, not kids, but everybody works and is proud of that, and it makes me proud. And it makes me proud to be part of this group and to be part of the Gasconade County Fair. God bless you, and we will see you next week talking more about what's going on at the fair, and have a good week. Make plans right now because you only got a few days to get those cheaper tickets.
Yes.
And you'll want to do that and just, buy your family, you know what I'm saying, and make sure they're aware of it because it's a time that you don't want to miss. Thank you for being here today. Thank you all, and we will see you next week, good Lord willing.
Belongs to the International Criminal Court, which issued an arrest warrant for Putin in March. According to the president of South Africa, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will take his place at the summit. The Kremlin says that Putin